Hi, Hillary. Hi, Kahle.
Hey, how's everybody doing?
Oh,
Doing well.
doing good. Everybody had a busy week.
Oh yeah.
Of course, holidays are coming.
So I've heard a rumor, Kahle, that you're actually in school right now, too.
That's completely false.
Okay. Okay, good, because I was going to freak out and go, how are you doing everything?
People will be talking about you.
No, yeah. Sydney heard her say that and was like, what the freak is she talking about?
Okay, good, because I was like, oh no, I'm like eating up some of his precious time with.
No. I have electrical school one night a week. It's like 4 hours, but it's just once a week.
Let's
So
hope that's what she was talking about then, whoever it was.
that must be very
So
confused.
it
But
just made me think he's gone to grad school and we didn't know it.
no, I'm not gonna do that.
Good to go. Not yet, anyway, right? Like,
Hopefully not ever. College is a waste of time. Don't go to college.
My brother has the whole thing about that.
Oh, dude, you can learn whatever you want to learn on your computer and with friends who have a like mind. The experience
I
is
love
not
it.
worth $70,000 of student loan debt.
right.
Now, that's not what I saddled myself with because I'm poor and I got a lot of Pell Grants. But it's easy to do.
Yeah.
So.
Well, good.
Yeah, anyway.
Good to know. Good to know. I just had to ask because I was like, oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah, no.
Oh, well, I noticed everybody sent in their pieces. It feels like forever
Yeah.
since we were together. It's been what, at least 2
Yeah.
weeks?
2 weeks.
Right, it's been a long. I was thinking the same thing. It's a long time.
Yeah.
Luckily, we had those interviews to plug in, but I've missed you guys.
Okay, I'm going into the room with the noise because I probably am going to need my phone for reading things. Just a minute.
Okay.
Here it is.
It wasn't very noisy.
It's very quiet.
They all paused.
We're good. We got this. Okay.
Okay, let's see. Now, last time I thought I saw something. Do you think we should play the song? Like, should I insert the song before we read our pieces? Or what are the rules on that since it's a full song?
I think
Probably just have the link.
yeah, I would just link it. If you want to play a little of it, I would play like the first 10-15 seconds of it, or like the middle of it, and kind of do like a fade in and then a fade back out.
Cool. Okay, perfect. That's I figured you would know all that. Cool. All right. So, Kahle, why don't you remind everyone what the challenge was that you issued?
Absolutely. So we listened to a piece of music, took a few minutes to take notes, and then played the song again and wrote a short story inspired from something about the music. Or
Very short.
yeah. So the song was about 5 minutes and 20 seconds long. We listened to the Sunken Cathedral by Claude Debussy. And this piece is very interesting because the piece we listened to was actually a recording of sorts of Claude Debussy playing it. It was from a player piano roll, I think, that he punched out, or someone punched out under his direction. I'm not entirely sure on that, but that was the piece performed as he would perform it. And one of the many cool things about this song is that the way that Debussy intended for it to be performed follows the golden mean in the speeds that he takes, in the lengths of the sections. They all follow the golden mean. It's very cool. So
Okay, I'm going to sound stupid. I don't know what that is. Can you explain that? I'll be honest, I have no clue.
you're fine. You're fine. There is a pattern that recurs all throughout nature, and it is a mathematical pattern. It's the pattern that conch shells grow in,
Okay.
and
My daughter has even talked about that.
pine cones swirl in that pattern. There, those are the only two that I can think of off the top of my head, but it's everywhere when you start noticing it. A snail shell.
Yeah. Yeah. Kaya used that in a lesson she taught our family one time, and she had all of these images of it happening in nature. So I don't know why I didn't remember that. When you said that, I was like, oh, that's what that's called.
I think because referring to it with music is a little weird, but
I don't
there
know.
were a
Music is
lot of
very
musicians.
reminiscent of so much in nature. I mean, it's very organic, and a lot of we subconsciously pull those kind of rhythms into a lot of the things that we do. And so I don't know. I feel like music fits that really well. I mean, music and nature kind of go hand in hand to me.
Yeah. Amen.
Cool. Well, it was a fun challenge. I really enjoyed it. It was something totally different, which I needed after November. So who wants to go first? Everybody's.
You sent yours in first, Charity. You win.
Okay. So a little disclaimer. I may have intellectually cheated on this. And I'll explain that. So since the name was the Sunken Cathedral, I made a conscious choice that I was not going to use water anywhere in this.
Okay.
Because I wanted to challenge myself, and I wanted it to kind of fit where my heart is. And it really made me think of this story idea that had already been percolating. So that's where the cheat came in. It wasn't totally fresh, but what I wrote actually is not the scene that would fit the music. So my bit doesn't fit the music at all.
It fit the music when I read it.
I was going to say, yeah, it still has that same arc, and I mean, it's a scene, so.
Yeah. So the scene I actually envisioned would be later, where he's just drifting through space, because I thought space and water kind of have that same feel in my mind, I think.
Yeah.
But my brain said, you must start at the beginning. So that's where I started. So, and I also combined it with another song that I love, Ashes of Eden. So here we go. He stared at the computer readout, his heart slowing before beating furiously. They were out of time, and they weren't ready. Hundreds of years of preparation, and they were going to lose everything. His name. What is it? Okay, maybe I should start all over. Also, I did not name any of these people because I was trying to. His name.
I had the same problem. Like, can't name them on the fly.
Oh man, I thought that was so cool. Actually, I didn't realize that was just a filler.
That's my filler. I've got his name. I've got her name. I've got name of.
What did you think it was?
I thought it was like some kind of like broken memory that this guy was having, and he couldn't remember her name, but he was like trying to remember everything. But all he could pull out, was like this kind of beginning of a story. Anyway, dang, I way.
You think I'm way more intelligent? I'm not.
Whatever. No. Of course.
Okay. So anyway, there's that. His name, what is it? His wife appeared at his side, resting her hand on his shoulder. I think I was touching something and making sounds. It's time, was all he could say. Her hand contracted in a squeeze. Then she did what she'd been trained to do. She sounded the alarm. It blasted across the science compound, across the city, across all of Eden. Are you guys getting that feedback? Okay, good. It's just me then. We have to get to the launch pad. She hurried to the door. The colony ship isn't ready. He followed, his heart breaking with each minute. How much time did they have? No, but the name of ship is. All the genetic material is loaded, the nav unit programmed. We just have to launch it. But it only carries one. A new fear rose to choke him. Yes, her name didn't say anything else. Her face was set, determined. What are you thinking? He grabbed her, stopping them in the middle of the hallway. You will go. You will save our people. Well, that was a mess of a reading, but there you go.
That's so funny. No, I actually didn't even notice that you had fillers. Like it said his name in the beginning. I must have like breezed right over it because I did not even notice it. But I did notice that name of ship. Probably because it's in italics.
Yeah, okay. I caught the italics, but I did not catch the reasoning.
That took too much time. 5 minutes is not a long time to write.
Oh, that's awesome.
My honest first thoughts were, how cool is it that you go back to that, your like the instinctual writing when you do this. And it was pretty cool. I loved what you did. I thought it was interesting because I knew you told us that what the scene that you had thought of was somewhere else in the story. And so reading this, I was like, oh, so we may not even know this person later on. I mean, this is like, you're setting this up for someone else, and we're getting to know these people together. And she's actually the main person in the scene, but she's out. Yeah. She set this up for him. So that was kind of cool.
And the fun part is, so in that 5 minutes, I only got 190 words. And after that, I put a little line, said that's where I stopped. And I wrote another 800 words just to kind of keep going while the story was in there. So this was great, Kahle. Thank you. It got me to sit down and write in December, which doesn't happen a lot. So thank you. I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Cool. Okay, who's going to go next?
I could go next if you wanted.
All right.
Okay. Okay, so this is Reticence in the Memory of a God. It might surprise you to find out some of the things I have seen, some of what I have caused to come about. Women, men, a child, many children, animals, plants, the rush of life. I've been with them all, riding through the wind, curling on the shores, adoring the splendor of my creation. High above the world, I could look down and see what were the goings-on. Such beauty, but such darkness in the hearts of men and beasts would rear its head. Hearts of men so easily swayed, purchased, bemused, set upon by lusts and appetites. Animals of instinct, not willing to hear the cries around them. Some would rise up, others would fall, hearts bursting with passion. Yes, that was once. Another time, amidst the darkest hours, a few rose up. Curious how they are so quickly forgotten. So quickly they fade into the mists of time.
I just thought that was so lovely. I liked all of the visual components. I can't get that to go away.
Very literary. It's you can feel the song in it, and I thought that was really
that
cool.
rise and the fall.
Well, and it's just beautiful words. It's just, they flow. It's all poetic in a way, and so it does feel very much like music.
Yeah, and I think you should be really proud because, like, I feel like you have emotions in there. Like, my first drafts are always boom, 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 boom. Later, I have to put the emotion in. But, like, I could feel the emotion, like the song, like Hillary said, in what you managed to get in those few short minutes. So, well done.
The other thing I like is that you both managed to name your pieces. Like, dang, Reticence of a God, that's cool. Ashes of Eden, dang. Again, I guess that one was a song, but
Yeah.
No. No.
No, but Hillary, I really like yours. I'm excited to hear you read.
I know
Okay,
yours
this is one
yours
of
had me
my
asking
thoughts,
so
though,
many
too,
questions.
because well, it's that instinctual writing. I mean, I write romance because that's what I fell into. But instinctually, I'm a YA fantasy girl. And I don't actually know if you see it in here, but she's actually Elvish, the girl that I'm writing about.
Okay, I couldn't
So
tell.
I don't think it actually made it in. I didn't want to spend too much time on description because I'm like, we have 5 minutes.
Well, I figured she was
This
at least
scene-
300 years old, so.
Both of you
That's
guys'
right.
scenes are so flipping cool. I'm like, I see things like, yeah.
Okay, so mine is called No Title.
That was synchronized. That was awesome.
All right.
Only our Patreon followers will ever see that.
I don't think I even saw it. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh,
We
man.
thumbsed up at the exact same time.
Nice.
Okay.
Awesome. Little extra content there.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, here we go. Golden hair fell around fair skin. The maiden reached a delicate finger out, touching the surface of the glassy water. She was alone again. 300 years of waiting, and still he did not come. Ripples spilled from the point where her finger touched the lake, her image distorting under the change. She thought for a moment she saw a face next to her, and then it was gone. A sound crashed in the distance, and she knew the army would be there soon. It had been prophesied, but she was... I think that's supposed to be that. It had been prophesied that she was supposed to stand with another. Oh no, it was, but I'm really bad on my first drafts. There's supposed to be punctuation in there. It had been prophesied, but she was supposed to stand with another, and still she was alone. Why do you watch and leave your people to squander their safety? She turned at the sound of his voice and felt her body flush at the sight of him. Where have you been? Our people have not only been left, but have lost their faith. She hesitated, anger and need warring within her. You have come back, though. You come to stand with me? He looked to the mountains, the smoke rising across the lake, and nodded. It is the only way. And you will leave when it is through. He turned back, his eyes burning into her heart, charring the hole that had been torn through it when he left. Only if we succeed.
I'm like, seriously.
I'm so terrible with my first drafts. Anytime I do a reading, I like stop and correct myself like every few lines. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, but yours has that feeling in it too. Like you just feel this warring emotions within her, and like the ending, I have all these questions, and that's like a great start. I'm like,
me too!
Oh my gosh.
I only knew vaguely where it was going to go, honestly. And the thought process, when you listen to the song, you hear so much more of the story. I mean, really, in my head, I could almost go through a full, several scenes at least, you know, if not a book, but like quite a segment. And then when you get to writing, you're like, 5 minutes.
Yeah, how do I fit any of that in here?
Right?
Any of it, right?
Yeah. But that's why I think it's such a great challenge, because it does get your mind working, thinking about this greater story that you know you can't write in that short amount of time. But I was sitting and taking notes. I hope that was allowed. Like as as I was listening, I was writing, these are the emotions I'm getting from it. I still didn't know what their names were. But I was like, I feel these emotions. This is what this could be, you know.
Nice. No names, because I knew all I knew is she was Elvish. Like I could see her dancing kind of by the water or something like this. And I thought it was going to go a completely different direction, to be honest. But like, when I got to a point where I needed names, I'm like, Galadriel. Thanks.
I've got one you can steal.
I mean, I'd love to hear it. I love you. You do a really good job naming characters, but I don't know if this is ever going to go anywhere.
Oh, I really hope it goes somewhere. It's real good. Okay, I've got Winillow, Winolow, Winillow,
Cute. I like
or Elowin,
I love Elowen.
Elwen. Take it.
Thanks.
I want this story to happen, even if it's only like
A short story, even.
if it's only like 5,000 words. Like,
You
it would
know,
be awesome.
I could do some short story stuff, and then if I ever do end up writing my YA fantasies, then I'll have a reader magnet.
Yeah. Or a
Yes.
story seed that you need to expand.
You know,
Yeah.
I actually, well, and that's the thing, because I've got so many stories already jumping around in my head, I really thought I'd try and write something off of one of those. But I don't know, when you sit and you listen to the music, it kind of tells its own story. So I thought it was interesting you said you made a conscious choice, Charity, not to use water in there. And I'm like, ooh, I used water. I didn't even realize.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Very
because
cool.
it feels very underwater, the music, I could, even not reading the
does.
title, you can feel that. And
So,
I was
are you
like,
familiar? Sorry, are you familiar with the story of the Sunken Cathedral?
Oh,
I'm
no.
not.
Either like once a year or once every decade, the cathedral would rise up out of the water and then start sinking back down again.
Really?
So yeah,
And this is a real thing. Where?
yeah, this is like a German or French or something fairy tale.
Oh,
What is oh my gosh, there's a musical about a story like that.
I don't
Can't
know.
think of it. There's like an Irish.
oh yeah. There's a Irish. I know what
You
you're
know
thinking.
it.
Brigadoon. Are you thinking Brigadoon?
Yes, yes, it's like Brigadoon. I love that story, that story, whatever. I used to watch it when I was a kid.
I know. That's what I remember being a teenager and seeing it because I love musicals.
Musicals were my life.
Oh, interesting.
Did you look up Brigadoon?
No. I think Brigadoon is probably based off of the same folktale, though.
Oh,
Most
that's
likely.
cool.
I mean, there's several that have a similar vein. Honestly, that's just the one I'm familiar with. But Brigadoon is more like once every 100 years or 12 years or some longer than a year. Shoot, Sonic the Hedgehog has that.
That's the kind of pop culture I am looking for.
That's right.
Oh my goodness. Well, I know we are going into the holiday busy season, so I know my goals have nothing to do with writing. If I do get any writing, it'll be like bonus because I'm not planning to start writing again till January. But do you guys have anything you are planning the next couple of weeks?
I do. I am working on my cozy mystery. I'm probably halfway through it, and I need to get that finished this week. I'm trying to get it turned in because I think the first chapter or the first section is due in January or earlier. So
Sweet.
it needs to be done. So
Yeah.
I'm working on that.
Did you find some of your plot structure that you were trying to pin down?
Yeah, no, all of that plotting and stuff that I've been doing has been really helpful. But honestly, it's changed so much. And that's what happens with that. I think, well, and I was thinking before we started, we talked about what are our greatest pitfalls this week. And so I was thinking back on that and what's been my pitfall or what have I learned or any of that stuff. And I was like, really, I feel like I'm just really learning how I write still. Really learning what works and how that functions for me, this process. Because I really do have to write through a pretty full draft and then kind of throw it out the window and go back and start again. Because like once I've gotten through that, I know basically now what I want the story to be or what it needs to be. And then if I go back and try to work within the same words, it traps me into what it was before, and so it's a little tricky for me. But at the same time, I don't want to lose all those words. So
I totally understand. I know it's been a long time since I talked about the goal of the science fiction rewrite of The Hand of Ottawa. And a couple of months ago, I was very excited to break it up into 3 books, make her older. And I started that. I rewrote the first 2 chapters of her individual book, making her 16 instead of 12. And my writers group loved those chapters. They're like, this is going to be awesome. And I stopped. And I've been thinking about that a lot. And it's because it changes everything. And it's no longer the story I wanted to tell. It could be a great story, but that 100,000 words I've already written will basically have to be trashed. And that's a lot of words to throw away. And like I said, I was trying to like, so am I holding on to it because I don't want to throw that away? Or am I holding on to it because she's a totally different character now? And it's the theme of it will have to change because she can no longer be the vehicle for what I wanted to say. Does that make sense? So now my brain is like, oh, what do I do?
Okay, yes, those are really good questions. I'm curious though what you wanted to say that couldn't be done with an older character.
She will not have the same innocence. No, not she just won't. I mean, there's a difference between what a 12-year-old knows and what a 16-year-old knows and understands. And
Sure.
So a lot of that just, 12 is, I kind of see that as that cusp of crossing from the blissful ignorance of how horrible the world can be and what that might mean for you. And so her learning process could be different.
She had a lot more discovery of that tragicness in the story.
And being that age, the people around her kind of had this instinctual urge to protect that innocence because everything is falling apart, that they wanted to kind of give her that as long as they could. And then that combined with the spiritual elements were kind of what solidified this goodness in her. Whereas like a 16-year-old, you're like, there's dating, there's boys, there's like all this other stuff. And so her reaction to the plot line would be totally different. Like 16, I would be like, I just envision more tears, more anger, more just angst in general, which would take the story a completely different way.
Yeah.
Like I said, not necessarily bad, but it wasn't.
Well, and it doesn't necessarily have to do that either. But those are, I mean, it does, you're right. It changes things, but I mean, you can also tell your characters where to go. And you can make her an innocent 16-year-old.
I've never been able to tell my characters where to go. Ever.
You're like, that's funny. No.
Yeah. Wow. Those authors that could do that, kudos to them. I've never been the boss. So I was like, well, I could just rename them and do a completely different story but I'm like, the whole point of that was just to make it more marketable. And I'm like, well, if I've already told the story I wanted to tell, I don't know. It's just that question, why am I writing? Is it for money?
For money.
Or love? And to say what I've been trying to say. So I don't know. I still think there's a lot of work to be done on it, but anyway.
Well, and is there ways to still tell that story with the new character, making it marketable, but like just changing up how it's told? But it's like you already have solidified in your mind too the way that all of those pieces come together for the younger Alina.
Yes, Alina.
And so I think it's probably still possible to tell with an older character, but it would be different, and you'd have to figure out what that new method was.
Yeah, because I think for the changes there would have to be different scenarios, different scenes, and
lots of different.
And my brain doesn't want to let it go.
Yeah.
So how about you, Kahle? Uh-oh.
What?
Are you still there? Okay.
Yeah, I'm still there.
I was like, it disappeared. I think I hit upgrade. I was like, I didn't mean to hit upgrade. I meant to close that box that popped up.
Just the little remaining meeting time popped up is all that happened.
Yeah, I got this big screen that said, upgrade now. And
Jeepers.
I lost visual. I was like, no. Okay.
All good. I'm really intrigued with the idea of this rewrite that you're talking about. So you have a series that is published.
Well, right now it's one book.
It's one book.
It's
okay.
one big, thick book that needs a lot of work, but I just stuck it out there and kind of kept silent about it.
Okay. And so what you want to do now is
break it into 3.
Cool. Very
so
cool.
The book that's published has 3 parts, and it's dual point of view between Alina and Amran. And it covers about 7 years, multiple planets. It's a space opera, lots of stuff going on. And so basically I would break it up into book 1 would be just her. Book 2 would be just him. And that's the one that terrifies me because it's all his military years and I've got to do a lot of research.
Ooh.
And then book 3 is when they finally reunite after, I even shortened the time frame to 5 years instead of 7. And because I was making her older and I didn't need it to be so long.
You should, for some of your research, you should read a Frederick Forsyth book.
I'm looking for a pen. I'm like, let me write that down.
I need a pen.
He writes like military political thriller style books, and they're very much mystery books, but it's kind of brutal, brutal descriptions of what goes down. And
yeah,
I think it might be good. Avenger specifically.
Okay. Because I know, like, I've been reading some more military sci-fi to kind of get my head back in that space. Okay. And I downloaded The Art of War.
Heck yeah. I love that book.
Because I thought a lot of his lessons can be based on some of those points. And I've always heard that naval battles transfer to space really well. The problem is when I read a naval battle, I look at it and go, what the heck am I reading? So I need someone to translate.
Like, what is this? People throwing oranges? I don't understand.
Yeah. So, and I would love to dig in and you know, I've been playing with it, but but I mean, because it's like all in code. It's letters and numbers and you know, military speak, and I'm like,
I know, like D3. Oh, you sunk my battleship.
Exactly.
I swear. I'm so sorry.
That's my level of understanding right there. You don't have to be sorry at all.
Well, that's like I read one and I'm like, I have no idea what just happened. Let's go watch a movie.
You're like, did they survive? I just need a one-liner right here real quick.
Ooh. Man, I just have all these weird things. There's also this story about a Confederate submarine.
Ooh.
They freaking had submarines in the 1860s, and they were horrifically dangerous. But yeah, you should look that one up too. It's pretty interesting.
Kahle, possessor of much knowledge.
Yes.
Spoiler, they died. They died real bad. And it was horrible. This freaking submarine sank like 4 or 5 times and everybody died. And they just kept pulling it out of the ocean, cleaning it and being like, next crew, hop in, we're gonna train. Oh my gosh. But it disappeared for like over 100 years. They could not find where it was. And then somebody found it, and they've done all these studies, and like they figured out exactly what happened, and that's pretty interesting. The concussive blast from the torpedo they had a torpedo on a pole. And when it exploded underwater, it pretty much instantly killed everybody from the concussive blast.
Weird.
Dude.
They were not thinking that through very well.
I know we have like 4.5 minutes left, but I love to talk about this crap. So, okay. if any of that helps you, I'm glad, but it probably doesn't. So thanks for listening.
No, it's all great stuff because I seriously have this list of when I'm ready to write this, dig
Yeah.
into these things. So that will go onto my list. And I'll keep working on other projects until my brain says, okay, this is what you're going to do. And I think it's because Alina is such a fully developed real character. It's hard to change her so fundamentally.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that first novel when I made her older, changed her name, killed her parents. She became a different person. I was like, oh, I know what to do with this person. And
Yeah.
I don't know what to do
again
with
is
the
hard.
Alina. Yeah. So anyway, but
Well, my writing goals include just continuing writing Bruce's story because that is the slowest pace right now.
hey,
But
it's all good.
also doing a couple more Christmas videos this month because that has been really fun.
What are the Christmas videos?
Just music videos.
I know. I was
Christmas
actually going to
music I
say we
like.
should post one of them on our.
Oh, you don't have to do that.
Well, I can't because you haven't sent it to me, but it was awesome. He did this music number for our women's group at church and sang and harmonized with himself and played all the instruments. It was really cool.
Okay, you at least have to send that to me.
Okay. For sure.
It was really good.
Very nice.
So that's my goal. And then I had the idea earlier this year that I really wanted to rewrite a couple of my mom's favorite Christmas stories. Like, have you guys read The Christmas Orange?
I think so, yeah.
It rings a bell.
So The Christmas Orange is a story of these boys at an orphanage. It starts off, they're playing stickball. The kid hits the stick through the window. Every year, everybody gets an orange for Christmas, and people like carry their orange with them for days before eating it. Like the skin gets all hard on the outside before they try to eat it, just because like it's the thing they get.
They never get anything.
They never get anything. And he doesn't get an orange. He busted the window. And all day he goes around the school and everybody has their orange and he's like, oh my gosh, my life is over. And that night somebody runs to him and get like just like all of the teammates on his little stickball team took a piece off of their orange so that he could have an orange. And so they went ahead and they didn't keep their oranges for days and days and days like normal. And it's touching. My mom cries every single time, like full on tears. And yeah, it's important for our family. I've wanted to do a rewrite and make it a lot longer of a story. It's about a 2-pager right now, and I'd like to make it about 8. So
nice.
Add some actual like
development.
Awesome.
The development, do some text, some talking. So yeah.
Here, let me pause and restart this so you can finish your thought.
Okay.